Hi everyone, thank you for joining us here in Studio 73 in downtown Boston. I'm your host McKenzie Lavoie for this edition of Inside Hockey TV alongside Tim Rosenthal and Chris Conroy. Well, first on our show today, there is a very competitive battle going on between Bruins veteran goaltender Tim Thomas and rookie goaltender Tuukka Rask. As of Sunday night, Rask had gone 5-2-1 in regular season play, while Tim Thomas has posted 5-6-3. Thomas ranks 24th currently in league standings, while Tuukka comes in at 38th. Now, Chris, who do you think should deserve this starting spot on the Bruins roster?
I think the truth of the matter is what it comes down to is it's Tim Thomas's spot. I mean, he proved last year with his Vezina season that he belongs in net. He is the starting Bruins goalie, and he did it at the beginning of the year. But Tuukka Rask is no longer a baby B. He belongs in the big leagues. He's here, and he's proven himself that he can compete with the speed and the strength of the game. But that being said, it's a situation where Tuukka Rask needs to ride his hot streak. I think the Bruins need to focus on playing both of them whenever they're hot. Obviously, Tim Thomas had trouble in Pittsburgh last week. He's made a few mistakes along the way and hasn't really seen the puck as well as he had or did last year. And Tuukka right now, as it stands, is the one on the hot burner. He knows what he's doing. He's confident in that, and he's not making as many rookie mistakes as everybody would expect. So I think it's one of those things where you got to ride whoever's hot and take it to the bank that way. But at the end of the day, it is Tim Thomas's starting role.
Well, now Tim Thomas has been that one constant bright light over the Bruins' past 2 seasons, and he's been everything you'd want in a goaltender. He's confident when he's under pressure. He's very stable in the crease. He doesn't really show any emotion till after, but yet off the ice, he's very humble. He's very low key. He just seems like every normal person. How do you think that affects how he plays and how he's playing right now? And do you think he should have some feel of seniority?
Yeah, I actually think Thomas should have some seniority. He is the Vezina winner from last year, so it's his spot to lose, absolutely. But at the same time, I think that humble play in the locker room, as we should say, is to his advantage. He doesn't talk a big game, but he proves it on the ice, and he could get physical at times, as we saw in Montreal last year, and with the Sean Avery incident there.
I think one of the big things about the difference between Tuukka Rask and Tim Thomas is the Bruins have a young system. They've brought up Brad Marchand and everybody this year to fill in the roles. They have a young scheme through Providence all the way up, and that's something they're building on. And you got to look 2-3 years down the road. Both Tim Thomas and Tuukka Rask have long-term contracts now, but you got to look at where you want your program to be in 4 years. Now, Tim Thomas has proven himself, obviously, but he is your lunch bucket goaltender. There's nights where he's hot and there's nights where he's not. But Tuukka Rask's system with the butterfly and how he moves laterally within the crease, he belongs, in a system going forward. And I think he might be long-term, looking 2-3 years down the road where Peter Chiarelli and the Bruins want to take, their system to have him anchoring the spot. And I think that's something you got to make sure that you don't rush right now with Tuukka like they did with Hannu Toivonen and Andrew Raycroft. But at the same token, you got to give him his chance to prove his worth and let him, make his mark.
Well, no, we've always heard Tim Thomas credit his teammates in press conferences saying that, they really backed him up. Defense was great, offense was great. But the speed of the players in the NHL and the schedule also is really demanding. You're on the road 4 nights a week, sleep, time change, everything has to be a factor. So his conditioning in the NHL over the past 2 years has probably helped him stand a little bit better. Now, do you think that's going to be a problem with Tuukka? Do you think he might get overwhelmed or even tired going up against these NHL teams?
Well, as long as they're slow in the development at his rate, I think it's going to help Tuukka for that matter. This year, he's not under pressure to be the Calder Trophy winner for Rookie of the Year like Steve Mason was last year in Columbus, like Andrew Raycroft here in Boston was. But at the same time, if Tuukka is the hot goalie and he's shown that lately, I think they should give him a start, but don't rush him, as we've seen before. And it's only rare that you see a Patrick Roy come in rookie year and win a Stanley Cup, and Carey Price is the same thing. He was kind of rushed in the playoffs that year. So if you don't rush a young goalie, you're going to be great down the long run.
There can only be one Kenny Dryden, but Tuukka is in a fortunate situation for him right now. Tim Thomas, at the end of season's end, is going to shoulder the lion's share of the load this year in goal. I mean, that's a proven fact. He probably hit about 40 games, above 40 games. So I think Tuukka's in a beneficial situation where he has the chance to prove himself every night he goes out, but there's no pressure on him performing. He is in a secondary spot to Tim Thomas as it stands, so he has the chance to go out with essentially nothing to lose and prove that he can do it. And I think that's something that we're going to see over the next few weeks.